Hello, my name is Stephen Elf and welcome back to AlffBooks. Today I would like to share with you some of the fantasy books I'd like to read in 2018. Let's get started with some classics, big name books that I really should already have read, but have yet to read. The most glaring of those is probably The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the story of The Hobbit, or pretty much knows it, has read it if they're anyway a sci-fi fantasy lover, and I have yet to read it. So of the books I'm going to mention in this video, that's going to be the first one I'm going to jump on and devour. Next, I would like to read Dragonflight by Anne McCaffrey. Anne McCaffrey is an author that I mentioned in my top 5 authors I'm ashamed I haven't read yet video. I'll make sure to leave a card here. I'd heard a lot about the author and I still haven't read anything, so I'm going to read that book. I think it's the first published book in that series that I got. I'm not sure, because with some series you have that the first published book versus the first chronological book can be different. A good example for that is Narnia, where the second book was the first ever written book. So I'm looking forward to finally reading a book by her and finding out what I think of it. Next, I plan on reading Bruising by Christopher Paolini. I don't know if you can see it. It's actually, you can, just right here. It's been on the shelf for a while. I started reading it a few years ago, and then I just put it aside because I was working on other things, reading other books, and then completely forgot what was happening in the book. So I'm going to have to get back to that. I really want to find out more. I mean, the title of the book in itself is enticing because well, I don't want to give too much away, but basically, I want to find out more about that. So, yeah, it's also dragons. I mean, dragons. Dragons are cool. So there's another one that I definitely want to get through very soon. For those of you who've been following my channel for a while, you know that I have a deep, strong love for the Kingkiller Chronicles series. And I've read the first book 4 times. The last time was in August of last year. And I plan on rereading the second book again this year. So The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss is on this list again. Another author whose name has very often been in videos of mine because it's an author I read a lot and really love is Garth Nix. I have very few books of his that I haven't read yet, and they're all on the shelf here behind me. At least the ones I know of. And one of those is The Rag Witch, and that's one that's been on the shelf longer than the others, and I want to get around to it this year. Next, I would like to read American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Last year, I read my first ever Neil Gaiman book by reading Neverwhere. That was during the Booktubeathon last year, and I really want to read more, so I decided to read one that I already have here, so I don't have to particularly go hunting for a new book. So, American Gods. Again, this is another one I know very little about. I bought the book, have it on my shelf, and my plan for this year anyhow is to read books that are on my shelves. Before buying any new books, I want to get through a substantial amount of the books that are behind me at the moment. That's one of the ones there. That's one I'm going to get through. I believe you can see the top of the book just here. There we go. There. Next, I plan on reading The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I'm really looking forward to reading this. I really like the idea of this circus. I don't know, there's just something about circuses that is a bit fascinating. It just feels a bit taken out of this world because it's so different from everyday life. You just go to the circus and you experience something that you just don't see every day. Juggling and fire breathers, and it just seems so unrealistic and fantastical that, you know, it's just something really cool. Earlier this month, I read 2 short stories by Michael J. Sullivan in the Rhaenyra Chronicles, and I'd like to read at least the first book in that universe. Those short stories kind of made it interesting to me and just gave me enough information that I'm like, okay, I do want to find out more about these main characters and what their whole kind of deal is, their story, and how they came to be in the place they are. I'm really looking forward to that. The second last book that I would like to mention is Clockwork Princess. This is the last book in the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. This is a book that I haven't gotten around to, but I read the 2 first books, and I really enjoyed them a lot more than I enjoyed the Mortal Instruments first 3 books that I read. So I'm looking forward to continuing on in that series and finding out more about the main characters and what happens. That's definitely one I would like to get around to later this year. And the last book series on this list is the Wheel of Time series. Now, I don't know how far I can get through this series, but I'd be happy if I get through the first book sometime this year. It's one of those series that I've mentioned in the past, as in, I don't know if I'll ever get around to it. because there's so many books and they look huge, so it kind of always pushed it off a bit. But you know what? This year, I'm going to try and get through the first book and see what I think about the series. After that, it's up to me, whether I like it or not, to decide, okay, well, now I know something about the series, maybe I should or shouldn't read on. That brings me to the end of the books I wanted to mention in this video. Obviously, there are loads of other fantasy books that I will be reading and I want to read. I just didn't want to fill this video too much, also because I don't know how many of these I'm going to be able to read without adding another 200,000 books to the list of books I want to read, which is already extensive. If you know any books that you think I would enjoy, please let me know down in the comments. I really love discovering new authors and new series and new books in general, so let me know down below. And also let me know what fantasy books or other books you are looking forward to reading in 2018. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to leave you with a subscribe button. If you enjoyed this, I would like to be around every week when I post a new video. I also will leave you with my most recent video and a video I think you're really going to like. Next week, there's going to be 2 videos. That's all for me. Bye.